Hotter out here in Sedona. What's it like for you? Temperatures heating up out there in the world. Temperatures heating up right here. And I'm just organizing my pages because we're going to be talking about Mars today through the signs. So, hi, Elaine Marolakos Edelson. Welcome to Astrology Mojo. Transformational astrology is more than just, where your planets are and what they look like. It's more about you making the decision to, I'm going to move that. You making the decision to alter something in your life. And when you want to take action, in astrology, we look at Mars. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, just in case you don't know me and you are unfamiliar with my philosophy, in astrology, the planets, in fact, nothing in the world, in the universe, makes you do anything. The planets exist in harmony. And when the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, the planets reflect that in the heavens. So we look at the planets for definition. And we look at astrology for timing. And that's it. The planet's not doing it to you. So who's here today? Come say hello. Hey, Kate's here. And I bought some more new crystals on my desk to show later. My mouse has been so funky. So we're entering, and next time on Monday, the June 17th, we're going to be talking about the Mercury in retrograde. We're already in the pre-phase, and we're going to start feeling it more and more. But until then, you might experience a few tech glitches, like I have been. My mouse is jumping all over the place. Change the battery. What next? I don't know. All right, Mars. Hey, Dean's here. He's my Mars. I'm his Venus. Yeah. Life is good, isn't it? Life is great. And that's the harmony we want to be talking about. That's the expression we want to have. And when we have an expression that is, and again, Mars represents your actions. That's it. It doesn't make you do anything. But when you look at where the planets are in your natal chart, it helps you to glean clues about your life and what you would like to do in the world and how you'd like to get there. Hey, Miss Elizabeth. Liz, as I used to call her. Liz and I used to work together 100,000 years ago. Don't we look good? And, so again, the planets aren't making you do anything. Please understand this, that each planet in definition over time changes as you do. But the timing of astrology helps you to overcome challenges, helps you to engage your talents and your wisdom so that you can make your earthly contribution. Isn't that why you've come? Yes, I will answer for you. We're not just here winging it, waiting till, time's up. No, of course not. So what we want to look at when we talk about Mars is how it represents your impetus, your need to act or not to act, and how you choose to act. Now, you're made up of molecules, cells, bones, flesh, organs, amazing miracle things, right? Energy. The list goes on. So is the universe. And when we look at one thing, it doesn't mean that one thing represents everything about you. It's a whole picture, right? Ultimately, we are all extensions of the light, and we exist here, now, everywhere. So if you want to harness that energy, in astrology, it's a Mars kind of thing. If you want to harness that energy and move forward in your life to get the most out of it, then listen up. We're going to be talking about Mars through the signs. And if you don't know, by the way, if you don't know what your chart looks like, or if you don't know where Mars is in your chart or what sign it's in, Dean's going to post a link and you can go directly there. And not only do you get a free birth chart, but you'll also get a video that I made personally for your sun sign. And that'll even give you more clues. Isn't that exciting? Yes, in these days, as we come upon all the choices that we have to make and the actions that we have to take, sometimes we're immobilized. Sometimes we don't know which way to turn. We get confused. There's too much data, TMI. So what do? Where do we turn? Well, there's a million things, right? It's whatever you can think of is where we go. You can meditate, you can pray, you can write, you can journal, you can talk to people, you can go on the internet and research a million things. And at the end of the day, you're left with you and your intuition. Hi, Wendy. And your intuition is going to guide you. And your intuition is forever and ever. Your mind is the part of your body on this earth that helps you to differentiate between and distinguish between choices. So sometimes the mind goes into overload, and it's not always easy to know how to go, which way, which door, when, if, at all, why, right? We get a little confused. That's a new word. I just made it up. It's confusing. It's confusing. Life is so confusing. Hi, Annette. Okay, here comes the Mercury in retrograde. And people will say, well, if you don't think that the planets do something to you, why do you say, here comes the Mercury in retrograde? Or here comes the eclipses? Or here comes, Saturn conjunct Pluto? Because in our timing, our perception is everything. And as I will talk about on Monday, perception is Mercury's gig. Remember, I say, look at the planets as if they were all at a summer picnic. And each one has a very distinct personality because each one represents the part of you, a part of you. So your perception is what Mercury represents. Perception. But we're going to talk about that next week. Right now, we're going to talk about action or inaction and what you choose to do with it. So let me just start the rundown. Oh, by the way, how is everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? Come talk to me. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling angry, happy, sad, aggressive, antagonistic? Are you feeling wounded? How are you feeling today? Because your feeling and your thoughts, when they combine, is going to be the motivation for how you act. Right? Yeah. Let me pull a card for everyone while the 10-second delay moves on and you can actually answer the question. How are you feeling? I'm feeling quite hopeful today. Yesterday was a mixed day. And the other day, man, the 2 days in a row filled with data. It was depressing. And all that stuff. And I realized, you know what? My brain needs a break. My friend said to me, you just need time out. You just need to stop reading and researching. And yeah, I do, because it brought me down. So you got to know, right? When to turn it off and take a break. I'm going to ask for some universal guidance right now to help you. Oh, Annette's tired. Okay, well, tired is an intellectual word. Are you physically tired? Are you tired of being sad? Sad would be the emotional word. So what's the emotion, folks? Tired. If you're tired, rest. And if you're not allowing yourself to rest, then there's nothing that anybody can do. Now, if it's a biological thing and you need extra food or you need certain types of nutrients, then you have a solution, right? Put your feet up for 20 minutes. Little mini breaks, especially for people who work during the day at an office or a job, and they just have to get it done because they have to meet the deadline. And there's nothing hopeful about that word. And there has to be that production value. What'd you get done today? What'd you get done? So if you're tired physically, then make sure that you're going, low on the carbs and the sugar. And you can up your nutrients and maybe extra water. A lot of people are dehydrated and don't even know it, and it's fatiguing, or they lack vitamin D3 and K2. So you want to check in with your biology, right? Yeah. High of 109 in Laughlin today. Oh, well, you can make toast on the sidewalk and an omelet. Yeah. It's getting hotter here in Sedona. It didn't used to be. But after almost 18 years, we've noticed the trend. It's getting hotter. but we still have coolness in the house, and we're very grateful for that and thankful for what we do have. Okay, so I will pull the card now for everyone involved. And then I'm going to talk about Mars through the signs. So get to know what's in your chart, folks, so you know how sometimes you just react instead of respond. That might be a Mars signal. So you want to look at what you can do. What are the alternatives? Because there's always going to be an energy in your body and in your mind that can create healing, wholeness, happiness, and all the ha-has that you want, right? Or wherever your mind takes you, your emotions will follow. So it's your choice. Yeah, I know. We want it to be happy all the time, and it's not. Ooh, Mars, right? What do I get? Intensity. Mars is very intense. Now, the intensity, aside from the astrological definition, let's hope my mouse works because it was jumping all over the place. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Sasha. Okay, so it's working. Intensity. Aside from the astrological definition, when you start to feel a buildup of energy, I've talked about this before, especially in winter with static electricity. That's an oxymoron. Energy is never static, but that's how we define it. Because if you're walking through a room on a carpet and you're building up electricity in your shoes, eventually, as it builds, it's going to need to make contact with something. And when it does, it's like a shock to the system. You've all felt it. So intensity in your world can be recognized and mitigated. Sometimes you feel sideswiped by life, by a person, by a situation, by an event, by your own, for lack of a better word, understanding or ignorance. And there's no judgment on it. It's just when it comes, you feel that intensity and you want to do something with it and you get angry. And it's good to always feel the feeling, but is it always good to act on it? Well, we're not talking about good or bad. We're talking about what is the most beneficial, compassionate thing that you can do for yourself and others. Now, when you feel anger, it's okay to be angry and then express your anger in a healthy way, which is very different than, throwing stuff at people's heads just because you're having a tantrum. That's not healthy. But, I'm angry. Here's why I'm angry. I don't know what to do with my anger. I just need a few minutes or half a day to let it go or to think about it. But thinking about it's not feeling about it, but you're articulating in a healthy way what you need. I need some time alone. I need an answer. And you may not get the answer, which might make you even more angry, right? So the intensity of your feelings can be mitigated by one very simple understanding, and that is you are in control of how you feel. Yeah, I know. And we grow up thinking we're not. And then we think we're victims because if we don't have control, somebody else does or something else does, and it's not us. So right then and there, you're looking at, I'm separate than the other things. I'm separate than people, than my divinity, than my knowledge. I'm separate than their power. I'm separate from my own power. And when you get into that place, then you create an intensity that has nothing to do with your truth. Do you understand that? Question? Do you understand that? So you have power, and power does not mean force. Power does not mean harm. You can stand in a room and just generate pure conscious love, happiness, laughter, and it will alter the energy in the room. And other people walking in your field will feel it. And what they choose to do with it is up to them and their power or sense of power or lack or sense of loss or sense of victimization, right? It's all perception. So once you have the understanding that your alignment comes into play with body, mind, spirit, you take care of your body and your biology. If you're physically dehydrated, if you haven't eaten, if you've been running ragged and just tossing back, what do they call those energy drinks? I don't know, something Bulls, Red Bulls, or you're eating candy. Okay, I can guarantee you, and I don't give guarantees except this, that if you're not taking care of your biology, your emotions are going to swing like a pendulum. And that's just a fact of what happens to your biology and then how it affects your mind. Now, if you're taking really great care of yourself and you're sleeping well, you're hydrated, you've got all your nutrients, and your mind is focused on a thing that can't seem to get done, again, you're going to swing emotionally and then go through the whole gamut. And there's no judgment on any of this, folks. You go through the whole gamut of what did I do wrong? What could I do right? Where do I go now? And that's where confusion comes in. And when you're immobilized in confusion, you procrastinate. In marketing, the phrase is a confused mind will always say no. So when you put up that stop sign, how do you act? What do you act on? Where do you want to go? Let's look at Mars through the signs now. Does that make sense? Brittany says so true. Yeah, so you have the power to just take that moment, take a deep breath, connect to your body. How are you really feeling? You want to name it. Now, immediately, if you get defensive, or if you get enraged, or you get outraged, or you get despondent or complacent because you're so confused, that's where I go. My Mars is in Pisces, and when a person who has a Mars in Pisces is inundated with information, it can be a very disconcerting experience to that you just give up and surrender, okay, to the loudest voice in the room or to the person you think has the authority. So again, if you don't know where your Mars is, I want you to click on the link that Dean has posted in this thread. And thank you, Dean. And go and get your natal chart and you will see where Mars is and what sign it's in. And we're going to talk about that right now. And then bonus, you get a video I made personally for your sun sign so you can get clued in. Okay, so now, and again, it's not always Mars that dictates everything about your life and your actions. But when we break it down and look at each piece in astrology, we put the pieces together and go, oh, that's the unique version of you. Because not everyone with Mars and Pisces is going to respond the same because they may have a different sun sign, a different rising sign, a different moon sign. They may have different aspects and angles. You're unique to you, okay? But in general, Mars through the signs. I grouped them together. I wrote down some keywords so that I wouldn't space out. And I'm going to group the Mars in Aquarius, in air sign, fire sign, water sign, earth sign, so that if you know where your Mars is, then listen up. If not, go get the chart and then you can find out. Hope this helps you. Hi, Jesse. All right, so Mars and Aquarius keywords: unusual approaches, innovative action, spontaneous, romance. They don't like to be pegged in at all. Futuristic technological solutions. And sometimes Mars in Aquarius people can seem aloof or arrogant or separate from the crowd because their ideas are so new to so many people that they break tradition. So a person with Mars in Aquarius might not just follow the Pied Piper. No, wouldn't at all. Now, Mars in Libra keywords: harmonious, especially harmonious groups, and wanting to appease or network or being at the hub of many different types of groups can get exhausted from trying to manage all the groups. So Mars in Libra, just settle down a little bit and focus on what gives you most joy and feelings of harmony. Artistic gifts, absolutely. Design. And this is where when I talk about Mars, this is where you want to act. This is where you'd like to put your energy when you are moving through the world, the day, your life, and in your community to get things done. You know, Mars is action. Mars represents action. So again, Mars in Libra, storytelling, needs collaboration, loves collaboration, but also needs alone time. Keep that in mind. Mars and Gemini, keywords, how they act or approach action is gathering data, sharing facts, keen wit. Need to curb your criticisms, though. Mars and Gemini, very flirtatious and versatile with a mercurial temperament and judicious and loves to come up with solutions by inventing solutions. So that would be interesting to know if you have a Mars in Gemini, how you may not even realize these talents or traits, okay? Mars in Aries, that's a fire sign. So I just did the air signs. That was Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini are all air signs. And now Mars in Aries, a fire sign. Enthusiasm and impatient, needs exercise or movement, even if it's just walking. And absolutely, Mars in Aries wants to jump into bed. In business, romantically, Mars in Aries is also very, has keen, varied interests, but likes to initiate things, but doesn't always follow through to the end. And that's okay, because we all need a think tank idea person. We need that person to go, hey, what about this? What about that? What about that? But also, that could also pertain to Mercury because it's thoughts and perceptions, right? But Mars is the action. Loves debate or is combative, and is a problem solver and champions others. Now, let's see. Mars in Leo, another fire sign. Determined, loyal, bold, magnanimous, gregarious, and very dynamic, dramatic, generous from the heart. It's always acting for the best interests of others, especially children and education. Willful and protective, and yes, kind of defensive. So that's okay too. It's all getting to know who you are and how to work with that energy, right? So, Elizabeth said Mars in Gemini. Cool. You also have a sun in Gemini, if I remember. And Sasha, Sagittarius Mars, we're coming up on that soon. Okay, that was Mars in Leo. Now, Mars in Sagittarius, quick-witted, very sharp, mental acuity, also sharp in speech, if there's too many judgments, insightful, comedic, also investigative, musical, and if not actually acting on music, needing music. And so does Aquarius, actually. I don't know if I said that, but Mars in Aquarius needs electronic information, including music or sounds, like Brian Eno. Mars in Sagittarius, culinary arts, likes to act on in the medical world, medical services, with cultural diversity, and also community involvement, and is very philosophical. Now, Mars in Pisces, this is a water sign. Now, we just did the fire signs. Mars in Pisces, very entertaining, very poetic, very spiritual, can get lost in the arcane or metaphysical arts, and or is drawn by the solution through alternative means. Mars in Pisces needs a vision and creates a vision, but doesn't always follow through, because then does the research to support that vision, and sometimes it's incongruent. So Mars in Pisces, and I speak to myself and my husband and a whole bunch of other people, they need to connect with the earth. That could be hiking. They also need water. That could be spas, flotation tanks, fountains, drinking water. So they need a lot of water. And they're also self-defeatist at times, like, oh, why bother doing that? It's already out there. Because the vision doesn't always, the Mars and Pisces don't always act on the vision, but when they do and they get a structure down, then they are methodical and very creative. Okay, Mars in Cancer, another water sign. We've got emotional, defensive, ambitious, focused on family and community, even if they don't want to. Even if they don't want to be, they are always attracting family situations or community where people want their help and services, food and finances as well. And they're very sensitive. Mars in Cancer, they can hold their emotions a little bit too much and then kablooey, explode. So, but they're deliberate, and their focus is a lot of times women and children, writing issues, or using the written word instead of the spoken word to express. So if you have a Mars in Cancer and you are feeling a lot of emotion, you don't know how to get it out because you're going to explode in anger, write it down. See, there's a clue. Write it down. Legal protective services as well, and very sensual because they feel so much and feel so deeply. But Mars in Cancer needs to be careful of not just taking on the responsibility for others And then at the end of the day, the end of the week or the month, exploding over, wait a minute, what about me? So Mars in Cancer, Mars is fire and Cancer is water. It can make steam, which can get confusing. So you just have to be careful and write it out, journal. Mars in Scorpio, another water sign, but very different. Very detail oriented, very secretive. A lot of Mars in Scorpio people that I have known and read have combustible energy, so they need a lot of sex. And they have deep-seated emotions and very demanding, very dedicated, but also very cutting and sarcastic at times, with a powerful aura, so they magnetically attract situations to them based on their perceptions. So got to watch your thoughts, right? Disciplined, sexual, orgasmic, or explosive, and athletic. Now, to the earth signs, Mars in Taurus, very grounded, very practical, very loyal, no nonsense, can't deal with it. It's like if you have a Mars in Taurus and someone tells you, all right, we need the diagnostics on these 17 people and we need it by 9 p.m., that's it. You sit in the chair and you do it till it's done. So the way a Mars and Taurus person acts is very deliberate and is very, it's got that enduring quality. Also stubborn and motivated by security. So Mars and Taurus is someone who really needs to see the why of what they're doing, or they won't understand. They need the bigger picture, right? But they're steadfast and patient, very romantic, not as sexual as maybe Mars in Scorpio, or Mars in Cancer, or Mars in Pisces, but very romantic and forgiving. They just take on way too much, like, it's okay, I'll blow it off. It's okay. But then it builds to, wait a minute, I don't know if that's okay anymore, but that might take years, right? They're a homebody. So Mars and Taurus, you really need to get grounded. Gardening. Mars and Libra too, gardening. Weights, building, fixing things around the house, cooking, organizing the family activities, that kind of thing. That really helps to blow off steam. Now, another earth sign, Mars in Virgo. Mars in Virgo is tireless, cerebral energy, constantly thinking, calculating, wanting to get through the matrix to make it all work, but guarded. Can share information, but doesn't always share information about the self. Assertive or aggressive, depending on the person, and a workaholic, right? Just like most of the people on Earth. Disciplined with multiple attention spans. Mars in Virgo can do many things at once. Now, multitasking is not really the best way to go at all, ever. But people with Mars in Gemini can have piles of things that are specific to unrelated topics and have the mental energy and the capacity to keep it going for all those topics. And also a communicator, especially in the health industry or teaching, sports, design, very detailed. And at times, if it's too much, without acting on the physical form, if it's too much mental energy, Mars in Virgo can get forgetful or sloppy or messy or disorganized, but they're a great manager. And then last, never least, the last earth sign is Mars in Capricorn. I would say out of all the people I've met, Mars in Capricorn, they are the least forgiving of themselves. And Mars in Capricorn is ambitious and very guarded, assertive or at times very aggressive, a workaholic, definitely tenacious, but they can still juggle family with work, but it creates a lot of dissension in the family. Tenacious, they have a deep well of emotions that really needs an outlet. And so I would say the outlet would be spiritual activities. I have a lot of Mars and Capricorn clients who like to have a reading, are very specific about how they want the reading, when they want the reading. Oh, my 50th birthday is coming up, or, I'm going on vacation, or I want to see the transits for the next 3 months because I'm working on this project. So they're very, detail oriented in their work. and driven, relentless. Mars in Capricorn, relentless. But you need that spiritual outlet to combine the energy of doing with being, okay? And engage in those spiritual activities because you are a competitor, a formidable individual, and a champion of all the causes. So that they also don't have time for BS, right? So in essence, that's Mars throughout the signs. I hope that's been helpful. Hey, Teresa's here too. I'm just going to take a drink. What else is going on for people? Hey, here's my morning green drink. Filled with stuff for my nutrients. I mean, my body that needs certain nutrients. Okay, if you don't know where your Mars is, you can click on the link that is in the thread that Dean posted. And you can find out not just where your Mars is, but where all the planets are. You'll get a free chart, free natal chart. And then bonus, you get a personalized video for your sun sign. So that can give you even more information about who you are, what you're doing, and how to do it. So I've got to check the chat room. Does this make sense? Does this make sense to people? I'm going to come back next Monday, June 17th. And and I say this every time, even though some of this information is specific to the date that I'm talking, if you're listening to this in a replay, there's going to be tons of information that you can apply throughout your entire life. It is what's called evergreen. So keep that in mind when you listen to my stuff. And thanks for showing up, by the way. How else are we feeling? What are we motivated to do? Mars is your motivation, represents your motivation. What are you motivated to do these days? Get stuff done. I'm working on organizing the entire series of my Sign of the Times historical fantasy fiction novels. Yeah, that's no small thing. Mars and Pisces, I have the vision. Now I have to act on it. And it's a little at a time. Oh my gosh, how hysterical. I just pulled this card, the vision. All right, that's for Mars and Pisces. But let me pull a card for everyone so that we have continuity and we have presence of mind to say, in my day, I would like to create fill in the blank. I would like to create a moment of fill in the blank, or an hour of fill in the blank, or a day of fill in the blank, using my highest, my most profound self that is divine in nature, because you're pure conscious love. And that looks like fill in the blank, and that feels like fill in the blank. What are your blanks? What are they? We want to know. Oops. Oh, okay. Great one. Awareness. Awareness. And it comes down to one thing. The moment is the only time that exists. Ta-da, right here and now. But if you're busy planning, working, scheduling, doing, you're not always here. And you want to check in often, especially as we're entering into the pre-phase. We're already in it. Mercury in retrograde. Solar eclipse in Cancer, July 2nd, which we're in the energy of now. And for some people where it affects your chart, it started for you in May. And it will continue through October. Then in July, also July 16th, is the 15th, 16th is the lunar eclipse in Capricorn. Again, if you've got Cancer, Capricorn in your chart, you've been in it, and it's going to continue through October. And then pick up again in December, because we have another eclipse in Capricorn on Christmas Day, on December 25th. So all these energies are merely asking you to become aware of the moment. Is what you're doing giving you absolute joy? And if it's not, then how can you make peace with it if you actually believe that I have to do this thing because it's my job and I get paid, and if I don't do it, I'll get fired? Okay. So we don't want to go down a road of victimization. We want to look at how can we act, right? We're talking about Mars. How can we act in a way that is the most productive for self and others without negating self or others? And what is that? Being present in the moment, number one. Giving yourself what you need, number two. And that means body, mind, spirit. And number 3, being deliberate about your actions and putting love and compassion into the next moment in as many moments as possible. That's the gig. That's what we're here to learn how to do. That's what we got to do. And it's okay if you don't. It's just your life will be more of the same. And if that's great, absolutely wonderful. If it's not, then just get a little bit more aware about how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what your intentions are, how you'd like to act. And remember, there's one stream of flow consciousness called pure conscious love. And that's what you are. You're an extension of the light. That's what we all are. And everything we create from, this to utilizing this. We didn't create this. The earth created this. Everything we can utilize is in our wheelhouse, is in our toolbox. So you want to weed through that every once in a while and say, yeah, I really don't need negative judgment in my toolbox. That's not helping me. Yeah, I really don't need sarcasm in my toolbox. That's not helping me. Yeah, I really don't need to be spacey. That's not helping me. So pick the things in your world, in your actions that don't help you to move forward, and make a list. Just write it down and say, well, the next time I am that thing, I'm going to become aware of that moment and see, what is another way to be? What is another action I can take, or inaction, but being at peace and comfortable with that? Because it's all about energy, folks. Right? It's all energy. Every single thing we are doing is all about energy. And if you are in a stream of flow consciousness that produces resistance and stubbornness and fighting and struggle and victimization, there's another stream you can just, jump tracks, literally. Takes a bridge, takes a quantum leap to stop yourself, meditate, breathe, get present, body, mind, spirit needs, and then next thought, the very next thought you think can impact your world in the most amazing way. I want to see you go there, and then I want you to tell me about it. In fact, I know you're all going to go there. Miracles are one breath away. All right, I'll see you on Monday, June 17th at 10:30 in the morning. That is Pacific and Arizona time. And be well, be sparkly. Make something beautiful happen. I want to know. Tell me. Thank you.